It's not witchcraft, it's magic.
Oh, whatever. They're literally witches, so it's witchcraft. What's the difference?
Magic was around before there were witches.
You trying to do expositional dialogue for somebody else's story that you didn't even like.
Magic's been around from the beginning of the universe.
Trying to wind me up.
Magic was there before the beginning of the universe.
The beginning of time. The Optimus Prime, you know. In the beginning, there was the cube.
And darkness.
Oh, God.
Before there was darkness.
Yeah. Bro, it's been done to death, honestly. We've had witchcraft on this channel, and we've had romances on this channel. A little too many for my taste, truth be told. But I think this is the first witch romance we've had on this channel. Our heroes are Sarah Swan, exiled witch on the run after raising her aunt from the dead and subsequently losing her powers, and Luke Larson, a handsome magical historian who just might have the key to restoring what Sarah has lost. And just maybe along the way, Luke and Sarah will teach each other that love is the greatest magic of all. No, honestly, with good execution, I don't see why this can't be a good read. The problem always is that love should be the central focus of any romance story, but then when that story also includes magic, you kind of have to focus on that too, or it just comes off as uninteresting. So I feel like there's a horribly clash.
Yeah. How do you think the author, played around with those elements? Pause this video right now. Go and read A Witch's Guide for Magical Innkeeping by
Sangu Mandanna. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library. It was interesting, at least.
I thought the opposite. I didn't find it interesting, and I thought something was actually going to happen. I obviously didn't read the blurb properly, because I didn't know that this was going to be a hardcore romance, not hardcore romance, but solely a romance. I expected some things. I expected things to happen.
You wasn't expecting like the slow burn.
Yeah, it was super slow burn, and I thought there was no need for that. So yeah, how many do you have? Because
I've got 5. Everyone's twerking for this slow romance thing now.
Everyone loves this fucking book.
I'm not. Yeah. But the whole slow burn thing, everyone loves that. I've never been the hugest fan of it. I don't think people obviously, we don't want insta love. I don't think insta attraction is a bad thing. Insta love, I hear it. If, characters fall in love inside 90 seconds,
but have some form of, jeopardy. Have some form of,
of course.
Arguments or some, have something,
challenges,
some drama,
obstacles to overcome. Which is
a
basic element of any story, really. Should I go first?
Yeah, you got more. Right.
So what did you think of the book? The first time I will agree with a time skip. In the beginning of this book, our main character Sarah is 15. But hold on, Joseph, you may be asking, isn't this meant to be a romance? For a moment, a brief, crazy, almost scary moment, I thought author Sangu Mandanna was going to do something left and have an underage main character in her romance story.
Her background is, they do that sort of thing, don't they?
Oh, well, I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you said it. I didn't want to say it, but it's a very hot topic. Yeah. So it's not really something you can.
That's why I didn't say anything. That's why I just said
you've already cancelled. Basically, you're already cancelled. You're actually already cancelled. But it's a very hot topic. But anyways, in the beginning of the story, obviously Sarah's 15. She's doing this witchy stuff because her aunt's just died. Raises her witch from the grave, which is an illegal spell. I thought that was a cool concept. That there's like rules of magic and penalties to pay and stuff like that. So I could see that it was work gone into the lore and gone into the world building and how magic works. But other than that, I thought it was going to go completely left and have like a 15-year-old in like a romance or whatever, and I didn't know. Because like when you read Twilight and this kind of things, it's like 17-year-old girls with like 100, 200-year-old vampires. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to go.
Seems good to me.
It's a real bad man.
I know a lot of people have thoroughly enjoyed this book, and it fills me with pleasure to say that I hated it. Hate is a strong word, but it's not strong enough in this situation. Honestly, I just found the book so boring, and I struggled to get into it.
So wait, this is the good one, yeah?
I didn't say it was a good one. I said this is actually it's a book. That's what I said.
Fair enough. Tried to catch you out there.
I felt like there was a needless lack of action in this story, and what's worse is that I don't think it was an accident. Let's take the beginning of the book, for example. Clemmy, who is a witch stuck in Fox's body, and Theo, who is Sarah's 11-year-old cousin. They sneak off and retrieve a spellbook for Sarah. Bearing in mind they did this behind her back. Sarah had no knowledge of this. So let me just get this straight. A magical witch fox and a companion sneak into a heavily fortified top secret library full of magic spell books, and we don't get to go along for the ride.
Yeah, it's disgrace.
Instead, we get to see Sarah, who's cleaning at the inn all day. As an author, you have to be stupid or lazy, or maybe an absolute genius. And judging by the reception and reviews, I have to begrudgingly accept that the achievements speak for themselves, even though I don't co-sign her method.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a stroke of genius from the author, or do you think it was a missed opportunity for the author to measurably improve this book?
I mean, even retrospectively, I don't agree with what the author did. Even seeing how much people love it and how successful it is, I still don't think she went in the right directions, which sounds quite asinine to say, but...
So why would you not have that action scene in the beginning to lock in the people?
I honestly can't explain that, because that is one of the most tried
It's like
and
you've
tested...
chosen not to go through Mission
Yeah.
Impossible. You could have Mission
Exactly.
Impossible at the start of your book, and then you're all good.
It's one of the most tried and tested methods of getting people to lock in, like having action in the beginning of the book or whatever. It's like you say, it's a stealth mission as well. I can't explain.
I understand that the author was going for a cozy in vibe, but
Oh
would
my
action
God, bro.
ruin that? Would a bit of action really ruin
Just
that?
a little bit. What the hell?
So yeah, it's missed tapping by the author, but they always do.
It's crazy though, because she sold so many books with what she had. Imagine she put that in. Would it have made it better? Would it have made it worse?
I can't see any way that it would make it worse. That doesn't make any sense to me for it to
But
be
would it
worse.
make it less popular?
I don't know. It would.
I
It
think
does
it would.
improve in your book. I think if we're in agreement that the book would be improved by that,
Yeah.
I think 9 times out of 10, improving a book doesn't hurt your sales.
You say improve. Like, improve is a difficult word to define in the context of literature.
Well, I'm just saying if we're in agreement.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's all we can speak for.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not sure I'm buying whatever this author is selling.
Well, you are.
Batty hole in.
I know, right?
Seriously.
My favourite part.
I understand this approach, attempting to manufacture a feeling of whimsy and wonder by using out-of-whack, almost silly names. It's classic Lord of the Rings. J.R. Tolkien did exact same thing, so did Harry Potter to a degree. But this is meant to be a romance book for actual grown-up adults. I would have preferred something a bit grittier and not darker, but a bit more worldly. So that's kind of what I was expecting going into this. I was like, witchcraft. I was imagining more like witchcraft for Waverly Girls or whatever it was called.
Wayward Girls. Yeah.
Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I expected a little bit more like that, because that was a little bit dark. It had some darkness in it. It was gritty. It was a bit more worldly. It wasn't silly and whimsical sort of thing. So that's the kind of witchcraft like I want. I don't want, happy witches frolicking or whatever this was.
So you got a problem with Batty Hole?
Oh no. That was the only part I agreed with. Batty hole in. That can't be a coincidence. Surely not.
I don't know what she was thinking, mate.
So what was you thinking? What was going through your mind?
So, enters Luke and immediately turns the book into a romance. Not just any romance book, but a slow burn. Luke arrived at the inn with more baggage than most guests. He arrives with his little sister. And I found this interesting. If the author wanted Luke to have some baggage, why did the author choose for Luke to have a sister and not a daughter? Surely a child would be the first choice. I can only assume it's because the author is sending us subliminal messages telling us that single parents are less desirable. It's a headache and the children are a cock block. Luke having a sister means that although he's a responsible stoic man that doesn't cower away from responsibility, he isn't ultimately responsible for his little sister, and the author is able to palm her off easily whenever she feels like it. A daughter would be quite a bit more tricky. So as mentioned before, Luke arrives and happens to have the knowledge to translate the spell. I can't even say that's a ridiculous coincidence, because that's the nature of the inn. It brings people who are in need and also people who are needed. Now I thought, okay, I smell a quest coming. If the spell had been translated into a shopping list, might we get a touch of globe-trotting? No, we don't. Sarah starts plucking things from around the house and throwing them into her magical teapot. So I started to think that the author was scared to leave the inn. And people in the reviews commended her on her amazing world-building skills. How? We barely left the inn.
Yeah.
2 things that I found interesting though. 1, we had magic and electricity combo, which we don't typically see in traditional magical stories. And 2, I like the way that the witches and wizards casted spells. It wasn't silly sounding gobbledygook or any Latin or Spanish. The author avoided all mention of spells. For example, the book would say, Sarah's casted a powerful spell. And that was it. And I think that's a win, because Harry Potter has taken Latin, And anything
death.
else,
No, Harry Potter's to death.
anything else has it feels like plagiarism. It's like you're copying you.
It does, but at the same time, I think good ideas are good ideas for a reason. I think things are cliches for a reason. People want what they want, you know. People don't necessarily want something new. They want something new if it works, but they don't want something new.
I think you've got two options: Latin or what she did. But the gobbledygook
no, I
shit.
think you can go. No, the gobbledygook. That's not on the table. It's not on the table.
That's what we got in which
That's true.
from
But
Wayward Girls.
we don't want that. But I think Spanish. Yeah,
Yeah,
why
I know
not?
you've always
Why
gone with
not?
the Spanish. You've always said that specifically.
Yeah,
Spanish.
I don't see a reason why not. It's very, very Latin-y.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds good. It rolls off the tongue. Sounds a little bit magical.
Yeah.
I think you could go with that. Maybe you could even go with Italian.
So what about what? Yeah, I was gonna say Italian. But what about the way she did then? Because this is different. I've never heard.
It's different. But
it's a bit like an elephant in the room, though. That's the only problem. It's
that's
like we
actually a good way to
know
put it.
what you're doing, and
Yeah,
no one wants to
100%.
speak about it.
100%. Yeah,
And that's the way she's written it. Sarah costs as well. Albert costs one back, a bigger one.
No,
you didn't like that.
I wasn't a huge fan. I would have preferred if there's actual incantations. It's witchcraft. It's witchcraft. Do you know what I mean?
It's not witchcraft. It's magic.
Oh, whatever. They're literally witches, so it's witchcraft.
They're magicians.
They're sorcerers.
Yeah.
Warlocks. What's the difference? The same bloody thing.
Magic was around before there were witches.
He trying to do expositional dialogue for somebody else's story that he didn't even like.
Magic's been around from the beginning of the universe.
Trying to wind me up.
Magic was there before the beginning of the universe.
The beginning of time. The Optimus Prime, you know. In the beginning, there was the cube.
And darkness.
Oh, God.
Before there was darkness.
Yeah. Bro, it's been done to death, honestly. Magic might have to just give Magic a miss in the future.
Yeah, it is done.
It's been done to death, honestly. Luke's autistic little sister is bait in human form. A charming little girl is like honey in a trap for readers of this genre, and her having her own neurodivergent obstacles to overcome instantly connects the readers to her and makes us empathise with her struggle. Personally, I think that's cheating, but I applaud the author's unscrupulous attempt to get an advantage by any means necessary. So, like, it's just, you know,
I mean,
gift wrapped
she
with a
had
ribbon,
to
you know?
she had to do something like that because she needed to build the story up more to create some dimensions. Otherwise, we would have just had Luke and Sarah just flirting around all day or whatnot. So I guess she had to do something. She had to write something into the story, and it's a tap in to do something like that.
Yeah, that's why I said I applaud it. I applaud it.
You know, neurodivergence is trendy right now.
Tap-ins I looked at as like, you know, dishonourable to score a tap-in. It's like sweating it, you know, sort of thing.
He scored a penalty. It was a penalty.
There you go. That's it. Slide that over the line.
Yeah.
It's a goal, right?
I've been banging on about the fact that this whole book has been largely uneventful. It's been a slow burn romance between Sarah and Luke. Interestingly, it's Luke who seems to be playing hard to get. He keeps teasing the idea that he's leaving to go back to Scotland, meaning that there's no point of starting a relationship. If only Luke didn't have to go back to Scotland because of his little sister. So it felt like the problem was manufactured by the author. That wasn't the only problem manufactured by the author too. Towards the end of the book, the last ingredient on the list for Sarah's spell was a phoenix feather, which happened to be, yep, you guessed it, in Albert's house. I think it was in the Forbidden Library, which was where the initial spell book was stolen from. It seems like there's only 2 locations in the book, the inn and Albert's house. I don't understand how this book was praised on its world building, but I guess I can't complain too much because this was the beginning of a stealth mission, which was quite good, and it was ultimately foiled by Albert himself, who caught Sarah with her hand in the cookie jar. He burst into the library where he found Sarah with the stolen vial in her hand. I found the whole scene entertaining, from Matilda pretending to be Luke's grandmother to us getting to meet Albert properly. And I mean, he didn't disappoint. He was a complete tyrant. Albert scolded one of his subordinates for not greeting him upon his arrival. "I've been here for 20 minutes. How have you not come to find me yet?" "Sorry, sir, I was just dancing and I got carried away with myself. I hadn't realised you were here." "Dancing?" Albert said with a smirk on his face. And without warning, to the guy's surprise, his legs started dancing at an unsustainably fast pace. Albert had cursed his legs. "Please, sir, I beg of you," the man cried out. So this was in the annual party, and obviously the whole room had fallen silent and everybody's watching helplessly. And you know, we've all seen this scene before where the powerful tyrant is being an asshole.
Yeah.
These are the type of scenes that bring the baddie to life. It's not necessarily original, but it's very effective, and it's what you want to see. You know, the author scored a tap in, and of course scenes like this prove that when the author wants to, she can write an interesting action. I just don't know why it's on ration. Why do you think the author has decided to keep the pacing painfully slow?
I think that's what people want. The fans of this genre, they want the slow burn thing. They don't necessarily want action. I think with action, it's like less is more almost, because all the books that are rated so highly and people love are the ones that are just boring. Obviously, we call them boring because we're primitive men that like explosions and transformers and all kinds of frivolous
at
things.
least there's no action. At least give me a sex scene.
Well, that's one thing
One
we could
thing
say.
that
At
I
least
think-
Rebecca Yarros.
Yeah.
not shy away from.
No, that's too much. That was too much.
Especially Iron
One
Flame.
thing that I will say is, what's the knight's name?
I've got all the
I
characters.
should have
written
written.
down
I
here.
did write it down.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Nicholas of
yeah,
Mayfair.
yeah.
I thought he was a
gonna
good
be-
rat.
I thought he was going to be the love,
The baddie.
intro. No, I thought he was going to be.
That would have been. It was all him
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
it.
yeah,
all.
100%.
That would have been good. But no, I thought that was a good. He was a good character. He's very, very likable. I thought he was like almost stuck. He was like a time traveled character. The way he was talking, like in night form and his honor and this, that, and the other. But he was just like a misguided young man who needed
Aren't
the
we
love
all?
of his parents.
Aren't we
He
all?
needed the love of his parents. Yeah.
It's weird. Our notes are almost synced up because look at my next note. Stealth mission. In order to locate an item for their spell, Sarah and Luke must infiltrate a masquerade ball, which I thought was a nice touch. Before they can escape with their ill-gotten gains, however, they are confronted by Albert, who destroys the essence of sunlight and reveals the duplicity of Clemmy, the witch-turned-fox, who, as it turns out, is a snitch witch bitch. I kind of found it difficult to connect with some of the characters because we didn't meet a lot of them with Sarah. This was much more of a found family sort of story.
Yeah.
And it was just, not that it's not good, but it just wasn't for me because I just kind of want to know who everybody is. I don't want to just be thrown into it and have
So
to
what
kind of
you're
work it out.
saying is you wanted a dual timeline to go back and forth, current day.
Yes, that's exactly what I want. I want a time skip, a flashback, dual timeline. That's what I want.
Yeah. No, for those of you who don't know, we cast the dual
Regularly.
timelines
I
every week.
believe I said last week I'd never want to see it again. In those exact words. But, I'm a consumer. I don't know what I want. Give it to me. I want to see if I want.
Try before you buy.
There you go. That's it.
The ending was done, I would say, very well. With the plot twist of the century, Sarah decided to challenge all-powerful Albert to a duel. The winner gets to stay, and the loser is banished. So when I found out about the terms of the duel, I proceeded to roll my eyes. I foresaw that this story was about to be neatly wrapped up with a nice happy ending, with smiles all around, because of course, Sarah couldn't lose this duel. She'd be banished from the country. She'd lose her all-important inn. But what actually happened was very creative. She cast a spell which would strip her opponent of his magic. The curse was unfortunately a double-edged sword. The magician who cast the spell also loses their power too. And I think what made it even more interesting is that Sarah knew this before she casted the spell. She made the penultimate sacrifice. Penultimate meaning because the ultimate sacrifice is in her. But yeah, she made the penultimate sacrifice for the good of her wizard kind. Albert was a tyrant that needed to be taken care of. It was beautifully poetic, not least because she only just got her magic back. But her actions show that she was choosing a life with Luke over being a powerful witch. Yeah. She's given up all her magic to be with the man she loves. A poetic ending is like a cherry on top of the cake. So, here's my question, Joseph.
Yeah.
If Sarah wanted to be with Luke anyway, does that cheapen her sacrifice?
Well, if she wanted to be with Luke anyway, even with... No, it doesn't. Not in the context of this story. And the reason why it doesn't is because remember in the beginning when I said they're going to find out that the real magic is true love?
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what that is.
Yeah,
she's like, I don't need my powers because the real magic is
so
being with...
So what I'm asking is does that cheapen her sacrifice? Because she sacrificed her magic because she didn't want it anyway. She wanted to
not
be
that
with
she
Luke.
didn't want it, but she's like, the real magic is being with Luke. But
so
I'm
if she didn't have Luke...
No,
if she didn't have Luke... the sacrifice would have been more because she would have to go back to the inn by herself and be miserable.
Nothing. Yeah, no. I don't think it cheapens it. It's just, it could have been better.
Yeah.
It could have more. It could have meant more, but that doesn't mean it was cheapened.
That is cheapened. That's reduced the value. Not to nothing, but
I don't think it's reduced the value because that never happened. That's an alternate timeline that didn't happen. So it's not reduced the value. It just, if Luke wasn't in the story, it would have been more, but he was. Yeah, so we're talking about a different story at this point.
I don't know. I disagree. If she had already decided love was more important than magic, then was it really a loss? But yeah,
I think that's the point. She didn't look at it as a loss.
Exactly. If you're not losing, then you can't be an ultimate sacrifice. It's Cain and Abel. Abel gave the best of what he
No, I
had.
hear what you're saying, but it's like that actually, from some perspectives, is the best of what she had. You know,
Okay.
giving up her powers.
If she gave up Luke, then that would be the
well,
real
she had to
sacrifice.
kill Luke
Yeah.
to harvest his heart for a spell.
It's not that type of book.
Yeah, exactly.
What was all the Wizard of Oz references about?
Because that's the most whimsical, magical kind of
But doesn't that ruin...
skipping down the yellow brick road sort of.
Yeah, but doesn't that
fuckery.
ruin... I mean, doesn't that ruin the immersiveness of your book?
It ruins the integrity of the story as well. And I just feel like
That's fine. I don't have any integrity anyway. That's fine.
Man said, what does that mean? I feel like if you're writing a story about, it's kind of, you know what they was trying to do? Do you remember Kingsman?
Yeah.
Just trying to do Kingsman. Every 5 seconds of Kingsman, they're making James Bond references. But they make James Bond references.
Yeah, but
Eggsy
because...
will be like, oh, I want a gin martini, stirred, not shaken. Like every single
Yeah, but
minute
because
they're
it's
doing
a
it.
cheap... It's like a cheap, low-budget spy film. That's why it gets away with it, I think. Because it's supposed to seem so real.
But I think that's what they were trying to do here. But for me personally, if you're, you write a Harry Potter book, you write a story about magic, you're making Harry Potter references all the time.
Yeah.
Shut that shit down, like immediately, because you're supposed to be getting away from that.
Carving your name,
you.
into
100%.
the spell book.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
as it were.
Again, while I was reading the book, I really disliked it, but going over it with you, it made me think it was maybe all right.
That's with every book. That's us. It's not the books. It's us. Honestly.
Yeah, we make it more interesting.
100%.
But that's me done.
I got one more.
I don't understand how that one worked.
Because I'm a G. I feel like this book is attempting to sell a vibe more than a plot. Don't get me wrong, this book has a very clear plot. Luke and Sarah want to obtain a spell that will return Sarah's powers, and Albert Grey and his unchecked reign of terror, now that he is unchallenged. At the same time, however, it reads as if it is meant to make the reader feel a certain way. Across various reviews, the same buzzwords keep popping up. Cozy, springtime, whimsy, fun, quirky. One or two people even say they want to live in its pages. I think a lot of that has to do with how the author has painted pictures of her world, how she's described things as opposed to solid characters or an interesting plot. I definitely don't think it's a bad idea per se, as people do tend to remember how they feel better than what they read, but I feel disappointed personally because I feel like this is a missed opportunity for a grittier, sort of darker read that feels more pacey and intense. Just a personal preference. I want a book, not a hug. And that's what I feel like we got a hug in it.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a missed opportunity. If we just tightened up the plot, we had something real there. It could have been very good.
But this is why I feel like it's magic needs like incantations and it needs words and stuff. Like, you remember in Harry Potter, like how they turned it into like quick scoping, like the magical combat. They turned it into almost quick scoping, and that was just the coolest thing ever. And that action can't be
non-verbal.
topped.
The non-verbal.
It was non-verbal, but because obviously that can work on screen because it's a movie.
Oh yeah.
But like they that kind of action can't be topped in my opinion when it comes to magic. So if they had tightened up that kind of action, you can't really. Listen, look, I thought it was a good attempt to make her own brand of magic. I respect that. But for me, next time,
I think if we tightened up, I think if we tightened up the plot, we could have something special. But I think it was a missed opportunity. But it's what it is, She's made her money.
Yeah, 100%.
She's made her money. So yeah, I think
that's
it. So what would you recommend the book?
No.
Okay. What would you say out of 5? You want to say 2, but you can't. I thought you was going to say 3.
No.
Strong 1.
Strong 1.
After talking up the book.
When did I take it out?
I would say, I think
3 is a disgrace, by the way. If you say 3.
No, I would have said 2.
You literally said you hated it.
No, I'd say 2, because it could have been special.
I think strong 1.
Strong 1.
Touching on 2.
I think 2's all right.
So would you say a strong 2, solid 2?
I'd just say yes, solid 2. I think if you like that slow burn sort of thing, you'd probably really like the book.
Yeah, and we clearly see that lots of people did really like the book.
So yeah. All right, well, that's us. We don't have a quote of the day.
I do have a quote of the day.
No, we don't. We're not saying it.
Speak for yourself. We quote of the day. When you're good at something, you'll tell everyone. When you're great at something, they'll tell you.
That's good. It's a shame you ain't good or great at anything, eh? Till next time.
Till next time.